Okay, all right, let's begin. So you ready to okay, we're good on that. So the first thing we have is the NJPIRG Oversight Committee. Ricky, you are chairing the committee, I believe. So how are we on that? What's going on with that?
What happened?
The NJPIRG Oversight Committee. You're the chair. Have you guys met or like plans to?
Yeah, so we were supposed to meet at 11 o'clock today, right? But it looks like not a lot of people followed up on the email that was sent out. There was a doodle going around, but not a lot of people responded to the doodle. So there's a group text right now going on. We're settling for tomorrow at 1 o'clock. That hasn't been confirmed yet. But basically, we just have to approve the ballot locations, the ballot itself, questions, and stuff like that. Once that gets done, then we can go ahead with the elections. So we're trying to aim for tomorrow.
Okay, great. Next we have the argument one stop. I see you're not Bill. Take the floor.
Yeah, sure. All right, so I have some stuff to give out. If someone can help kind of distribute it. Thank you. So then here we have all right, so were any of you present last year when Bill and I had the one-stop meeting?
Yes.
Show of hands, who is here? All right, so I see a lot of newcomers to this conversation. All right, so basically, who has visited the third floor of the Leipold Hall? Okay, financial aid, registrar, student accounting. Okay, perfect. So right now what's happening is we're building something called the One Stop. And what that basically means is, because right now when you guys, we're gonna go back there. When you guys now walk into the third floor of the Leipold Hall, you swipe into the new kiosks that you guys have seen, and then you select to see an office. You're either going to select student accounting, financial aid, or registrar. So what's happening in that scenario is you're signing in to speak directly to a specialist, and you may not necessarily know that you're speaking to the proper specialist depending on what the issue is, right? So what's happening with the One Stop is we're integrating the student services on the third floor. So we're basically like combining them. You might think, oh, weren't they already combined? No, they weren't. Technically, everyone still works separately, but with the One Stop, we're going to train generalist counselors on one of the current 3 that work there, and we get to be trained between those 3 offices to answer general questions. So now when you guys walk into hopefully our new One Stop within the next 2 to 3 years, you'll speak to a generalist first, and then we escalate you to a specialist. This kind of eliminates the bounce around, where you're kind of going back and forth between one office. I'm not sure if any of you have experienced that, where you're like, well, this person said this, the other person said that, now I'm confused and I don't know what to do. So we're trying to kind of eliminate the confusion for both the students and the staff with the One Stop. Any questions so far? All right, so starting from February of this year, we brought together all the staff members who are part of the One Stop, so staff members from the offices of financial aid, student accounting, and registrar, in addition to some SGA members who were available to join us, some resident assistants, RAs. We also had Scarlet Ambassadors from the Office of Admission join us, and some of our own Myron student workers join the conversation of creating the mission, vision, and value statements for the One Stop. So if you guys look at the sheets that I just gave out, do you mind passing this to the ones? All right, so this is just a draft, just so you guys know. What we came up with the staff and the students is a draft mission statement. We did not draft up the vision because that was already created by the Associate Vice Chancellor. You probably know him, Dr. Leipold. And the vision of the One Stop is to become a national benchmark. And the draft value statements are also in front of you. So right now, we already created the draft with the staff. So that was phase 1. Phase 2 is bringing it to the students alone. So we don't have staff members. We're not taking their input now. Now it's about you guys and what you think about these statements. Does it make sense? Because what's happening is we're going to have like different ways to advertise the mission, vision, value of the One Stop. It could be on our wall. It could be part of our email signatures. We're going to incorporate it part of our staff evaluations at the end of the year and for our student staff as well. So we really want to hold our staff and our students also accountable to the mission, vision, values of the new One Stop. So if you guys can just look at the mission statement first, we just want you guys to kind of read through it, and see, does it make sense? How would you change it? I think you all got pens, so you can write on these. I'll be collecting them after. So write all your comments, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, what you'd like to be added. Sure. Anyone else not get a sheet? All right, so who wants to read the draft mission statement? Can I get it all to you? All right, thanks.
The mission of the My RUN One Stop is to positively impact each student's college experience from enrollment to graduation. Our dedicated, student-centered team in the Office of Financial Aid, Student Accounting, and Registrar work together to contribute to each student's success by partnering with students, their families, and the RUN community.
All right, so guys, just reading our mission statement, just know that mission is our purpose. So why does the One Stop exist? So that's what the mission statement means. And by reading that, just so you guys know, the name of our One Stop is My Run. So if you ever get emails from My Run, calls or anything, or if someone uses the terms interchangeably, My Run and One Stop mean essentially the same thing. So any questions about the mission statement? Does it make sense? Do you understand what the mission statement is? Any comments on that? Because we want to bring this back to our staff with comments from all of our student groups, and we'll discuss after which student groups we'll be talking to later on. So the mission of the Myron One Stop, we'll take it sentence by sentence. The mission of the Myron One Stop is to positively impact each student's college experience from enrollment to graduation. So does this make sense? When you're walking into the One Stop, that's essentially going to be registrar, student accounting, cashier's office, RUID card service center, and financial aid, if I didn't mention that already. So if you guys walk into that space and you read that first statement, you're like, oh, what's their mission about? So who are they? Why are they a thing? And you read that first statement, does it make sense? Does it kind of fall in line with when you walk into the One Stop versus what you think about the service that should be provided to you? We're good? All right. Sorry guys, I'll get through this quickly. The next one is our dedicated student-centered team in the offices of financial aid, student accounting, and registrar works together to contribute to each student's success by partnering with students, their families, and the RUN community. We're good? So what that basically meant was our staff wanted you guys, when you read the mission statement, to understand that we're not just working between each other. Yes, we are integrating our own student services on the third floor. However, we are partnering with different departments around campus. So just because we're dealing with financial aid, student accounting, and registrar specifically within our One Stop, it doesn't mean that we will be collaborating with academic services, for example, or with student life, or anyone else who's student affairs. So that's what they were trying to get to by saying that we're collaborating with the RUN community. We good? Any other edits to the mission statement? So if you guys saw this on the wall, and this was part of our employee evaluation, for example, you saw on our signature, you're down with it, we're good. No
Yes.
complaints?
Yeah, I think it covers just about everything. I like how it talks about from enrollment to graduation, and it, a lot of it is centered around students, and I like that is what you're pushing, and I like it, it's good.
Okay, thank you guys. So we'll just move on. Just know that if you ever have any questions, all of our information is on the bottom. And you can also email either myself or Bill and kind of just, make any comments that you want to make. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to our values. So our staff, originally these values were like a list of 30, we narrowed it down to 10, and then the staff ended up kind of grouping some of them together. So the first one is student-centered, seamless service. So we had some conversation, just so you guys know, about seamless service. So one of our staff members, and this is why it's very important that you guys understand why your presence in meetings is extremely, extremely important, because one of our staff members during one of the workshops that we had around seamless service was, oh, students talk about seamless service all the time. And then one of the ambassadors turned and was like, what the hell is seamless service? They're like, no, we don't talk about it. Like, what does it mean? So that was a very interesting conversation, because then most of the session then developed around, was kind of wrapped around, okay, what makes sense to you guys? What do you even talk about? And what do you think of our values when you think of the third floor? So who wants to read the first statement? You want to move quickly?
Student-centered seamless service. We support policies and services that put students first, positively contribute to the student's total RUN experience, and include the student as part of the solution.
So questions around that? So when we think seamless, it's kind of like, think of the word smooth, like it's student-centered, it's centered around you guys, and it's pretty smooth from start to finish. So we kind of wanted to get that across to you guys. So we're good with that statement. If you guys have any edits and you don't want to say it out loud, you can totally just write it on the sheet. All right, so the second one is mutual respect and responsibility. What's up? Sorry.
What do you mean by include the student as part of the solution?
So this could mean multiple things. It could be you, the student, right in front of you, and we're having a conversation. So let's have an actual conversation where you don't feel like you're left out of it, because now you're left confused. We're now probing, we're asking questions. Do you understand what we're talking about? Do you understand the steps that you need to do next? And if you're not present, are we clear about the next steps? So if it's via email, or if it could be via your parent or maybe your academic advisor, are you being included as part of this conversation? So think it's multidimensional, the meaning of that. So whenever you think you should be part of the conversation, that's what we're talking about. It's also related to transparency. So a lot of it is you're part of the conversation, you're fully aware, and you fully understand what's happening regarding your stay here. Whether it's about, financial aid, student county, or whatever issue that you have, that comes across our table. Good on that? All right, so can we move on to the next? All right, who can read mutual respect and responsibility? Thank you.
On mutual respect and responsibility, we value the diversity of individual differences and believe in promoting an open, safe, and nurturing environment where students and staff are partners in the students' success.
All right, questions on that? We value diversity of individual differences and beliefs by promoting an open, safe, and nurturing environment where students and staff are partners in the students' success. Any questions on that? We're good? So you'd understand this value if it were on our walls, if you had any questions. It's also a matter of accountability as well. It's like, I see it, but I didn't get that service. Make sense? All right. So third one, integrity and professionalism. Great, thank you.
We hold ourselves accountable to the highest ethical standards, where transparency, student care, understanding, empathy, and respect for privacy and confidentiality are evident in all we do.
Questions on that? We're good? Are you guys sure? Yeah. I know we're quickly moving, but I'll send up a follow-up email to you guys with the draft of this statement, of all these statements, so that you guys actually have a chance to look at it if you feel like we're going a little too quickly. So we'll move on to the fourth one, teamwork and communication. Volunteer to lead, thank you.
Recognizing that student success goes beyond the services provided by the One Stop, we partner with others throughout the RUN community to encourage respect, collaboration, and timely, consistent communication.
Do we like that?
Like it.
Yes. I know a lot of students like the last part. Timely, consistent communication. What's up?
When I partner with others throughout the RUN community, like besides these three offices, are you referencing any others in particular?
So that's what that means. So the staff was trying to not make it too wordy, but still make sure that we're including other people. It's similar to the mission statement, where we mentioned the RUN community because we want you guys to understand that we're not just collaborating within our offices, we're reaching out to people as well. And we say RUN community because it could also mean someone outside of RUN community who is partnering up with us as well. So they're part of our community as well. It doesn't necessarily mean within RUN, it could be outside of RUN, but we have like collaborations with them. All right, other questions on that? All right, the last one, empowerment. Who wants to take that last one?
We encourage and support the exchange and implementation of new ideas and ways of interacting that empower students to ask questions and seek help, and that positively affect the ability of staff to resolve student issues.
All right, so questions on empowerment? No? So we're good with all these values. So you guys, if you're walking into the One Stop and you want to get a certain type of service, which to you guys, you want to get the best service, do all these values encompass exactly what the type of service you want to receive? Is there anything we left out? Is there anything else you think we should take out? Anything like that? No? We're good? Alright, okay. So the last page just kind of tells you guys what the next steps are. So like I told you, the first step, or phase one, was kind of meeting up with staff and some students to create the draft mission, vision, value statements, or mission and value statements, and now it's meeting with you guys. So we already, this is our first of the mission, vision, value meetups. So if you guys have suggestions for future ones, like even if you didn't like care for this presentation, we thought could have done it differently, please let me know. I'll be sending you guys an email out, kind of asking you how it went and what you suggest we do. I know there's a little time constraint here because I don't want to like take a lot of your time, but please feel free to put in all your comments. I also asked if you guys can look at the student groups involved and see who you suggest you can also reach out to. If you know like larger groups of students or different student leadership groups on campus that we can connect with and get their opinion on the mission, vision, values. Any suggestions on that? Besides RAs, Scarlet Ambassadors, migrant workers, undergrad and grad SGAs, yeah?
IFSC and program board might be.
Okay. Do you mind writing that down? Because I'll be collecting these because they're draft statements. Just know that I'll be sending you guys another sheet that it's watermarked with draft just so that you guys have it for your record, okay?
And you mentioned that this is phase 2, so how long, what's the projected timeline in terms of like the feedback from students?
So we want to do it throughout the beginning of spring semester. It really depends on your availability. Like right now, we got lucky with this meeting right now, but with other groups, we have to meet with them at certain times and they don't meet as often. So it really depends on your availability. We try to work around that as much as we can. But unfortunately, sometimes that means like elongating our time frame, but it should be beginning of spring semester. Other questions?
All councils, so like you have RAs and stuff, but each dorm building has like a council.
Yeah.
The students, residents who live there who are, they represent everyone who lives in the dorm, so you need them to.
Okay, so I usually just reach out to Dan, or Rusty, and they usually just send a student, so I can, yeah. And they kind of, I'm assuming they're sending an email, but I can ask that question thanks for that. Any other suggestions? All right, so no further comments from SGA, we're all good. All right, again, guys, if you have any questions, you have all of our information, and I'll be sending you guys a follow-up email. Also, if you are interested in participating in any future MyRun implementations or any initiatives we have, we'll be reaching out to you guys that way. I'll probably send it to Sabrina instead of bombarding you guys with emails, so it'll be funneled through her first, and then we'll give it up to you guys. All right? No other questions? We're good? You guys mind just passing these back? Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. So I was going to.
Gotcha. I know you discussed with me a transfer funds request.
Yeah.
Explain that.
So this is something that we need to put to a vote today. So I just want to make sure you guys really understand what I'm asking for here. Essentially, we had a vote on the budget in our very first meeting, and that left over, it was like $1,000 for organizations that weren't tiered that we can give out to them or to handle any appeals. Turns out that wasn't enough to handle appeals, and we have some organizations that were never tiered. I was told one organization's name, but it turns out we have 3. So to handle their funding, like their tiering requests, I would need a little bit more money. So I was trying to figure out where we can pull that from, and initially I was going to take it from the SGA board budget, and we just wouldn't have that total 15%. But then I was looking at the rollbacks that go into allocations board, which is essentially money from last academic year that organizations didn't use up. And there was a total of $3,259.66 that was never rolled back to allocations board. So that money was never accounted for and wasn't included in the budget. So I was thinking it would be, the best use of that money would be, instead of adding it to allocations, since we already have so much money in allocations, I can use that to handle appeals and to handle like tiering projects that weren't tiered. And it's basically extra money because it was never accounted for. We didn't know we had access to that money, and now it was rolled back. So before I can use that money to take care of appeals and to take care of tiering organizations that were untiered, I would need permission from the Senate. So I was hoping we can put that to a vote today. So before we do that, does anyone have any questions? I know I've heard.
Wait, so can you just repeat that one more time? So that money that was supposed to go to allocations, that's the money that you want to be used for tiering, right?
Yes.
To make up for the money that's missing?
Yeah, because essentially the way student life accounting handles rollbacks is they have to do it manually. So they look at every organization's account and manually roll back all the amounts in June that were unused. But I guess they filtered it to look at organizations that were active in spring, and they rolled those amounts back. But there was organizations that we gave money to in fall, and then they just weren't active in spring, and their money never rolled back because it didn't show up on student life accounting. I don't know how they do it internally, but it just never showed up.
How much is that?
It was $3,259.
And that would cover.
That would more than cover like any appeals or anything. In fact, I think I would have like 1,500 left over.
And what
So that would just go to allocations, which it was originally supposed to do anyway.
Okay.
But I was just hoping that instead of having to pull from the SGA board budget, since this money is essentially extra money that we didn't know we had, it'd be best to use it to cover appeals and orgs that aren't tiered.
So just to be clear, so part of the money that's coming from that unused funds would go to cover the 3 organizations that haven't been tiered,
Yeah.
and the rest of it will go to allocations.
Yes.
Okay.
Does anyone have any other questions?
Sorry, I know this is just like more math, but like how much are you planning to roll to allocation? How much are you planning to do?
Well, there's 2 orgs that I haven't met with and tiered yet, so I don't really know like what tier they fall and how much they get. But MISA was granted, like their appeal was granted, so they moved up from tier 3 to tier 2, which ups their amount by about $1,000. So I know $1,000 of that 3,000. That 3,200 would go towards MISA.
When do you plan on tiering the other 2 orgs?
I'm supposed to set up a time with them this week. I'm waiting on a response from one of them, and then I have to meet with Karima for agriculture, which we'll set up a time for.
Okay.
Is agricultural club AEG, right?
No, ACs. Any other questions? Yeah, so Karima, you would have to abstain from a vote if we have one today, because it's a conflict of interest since you're looking for it. But everyone else is eligible to vote. So if
Someone can motion to vote if you guys are ready.
Motion to vote for allocations.
Actually, wait, was that motion granted or?
Yeah.
Okay.
All in favor?
Wait, did anyone second?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question. Yes, sorry. If you're an untiered, we're president vice president of an untiered org, therefore should we not vote? Because we did send SGA a message that and how to reply back. Well, some justice. So like, wouldn't that be a conflict of interest?
It would be. But you guys sent an email?
Last year.
Okay, so yeah, don't vote.
I'll get back to you. Thank you.
So whoever voted in favor needs to change that.
All against? All abstaining? Okay, so, it passes and you can move to.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, so, yeah, we're having the open forum on the 28th, so now we have a flyer. We're just gonna try to keep blasting that out. The Chancellor's coming, some people from the team are coming, I believe. So we gotta make sure that we blast that event out. I think we're offering SOS points, we just have to make sure it's big and people attend. And do you have anything to add?
No, everybody's expected to be there. Please come with questions. If other students don't have questions, we do expect you guys to be asking them during the time that we open the floor to questions, so it doesn't get awkward and silent. But yeah, other than that was.
Okay. And I also put in executive board updates because I don't know if there's anything from you,
Yeah.
Hamza.
So we had our Chancellor's meeting last week, Monday, when you guys had your Senate meeting. We went over a lot of things. So we went over the biology department for anybody that doesn't know what's going on with that. We've been working on that for over a year now. Biology department, just class-wise, professors that they have, and the amount of students that are in the school is just not sufficient. With the amount of professors that they have and the amount of classes that they offer. A lot of biology students don't have access to classes. They close before freshmen can get access to them. And it's been like a big issue. So that's something that we have been trying to address for a while. So they were in on the meeting. They gave us updates about what they've kind of done with the department. They've brought in a bunch of new professors, both tenured and non-tenured track. And then we talked about like the SPM process and how we can possibly make it a better process for students. We also talked about operations and facilities. We talked about like emergency response and how the university responded to different situations. Specifically, we talked about the water situation where the water was brown and students were told that it was okay to drink, but you know that obviously students wouldn't necessarily want to drink it. So we talked about how communication on the university's end has been good, but one of the things that we brought up was how are we responding to those situations instead of just telling students, well, you know, like this, your water is brown, but you can, like, it's safe to drink, right? You can't just say that and then like students who are paying tuition don't have access to that water that they're basically paying to stay in those dorms and whatnot. But we came up with a solution of offering water bottles. I think there are some reusable water bottles that the Vice Chancellor's office said they can offer as well during those times, and just making sure that we're responding to these situations, that we're responding for the students. Another thing that we talked about was the business review board. If you're not familiar with what happened with that, that was around the Easy Mart whole issue that happened last year, and we came about with a solution of starting a business review board that would basically look at all the businesses that are around the Rutgers campus and make sure that they're catering to our students' needs in a sense of, you know, not being racist or not having any sort of racist tendencies, I guess. So if is anybody here interested in serving on that by any chance? Does everybody understand what it is? Yeah? Yeah.
When would meetings be and who would meetings be with?
So, Amber Randolph is the chief of finance. She would be basically running it. I believe the vice chancellor also would be in on it. Or would it just be with Amber?
I'm not 100%, definitely with Amber,
Yeah.
maybe with Vice Chancellor.
Okay. Yeah. So it would be, she wants to get started as soon as possible. We just have to send her the names. So we have students who were a big part of the whole Easy Mart protest who are interested in doing it, but I think that having like SGA presence is also super important on that board. And something that she talked about was going to these already existing businesses and giving them sort of, what did she say? A pledge, like a pledge form that they won't, you know, be xenophobic or racist or any of that. And that's something that you guys would draft and then go to those businesses and actually give and make sure that they're signing them. And then also long-term looking at contracts, Rutgers contracts that we're giving people who are serving our campus. So looking at putting some sort of statement or clause inside of the actual contract. So is anyone interested in serving on that? Ricky? And Harrison?
Actually, I could.
So, like I said, initially we're just going to be sending the names. Once we do send the names, she'll probably send some sort of correspondence to you guys, and you'll figure out a time that works for everybody through that. Another thing that we talked about was parking and transportation. Does anyone know about the Transloc app? No? Yeah.
I do.
Ricky does, okay. For the most part, a lot of students don't know that it exists, but it's a really, really cool app. It basically tracks, like you can have like a live tracker of where the buses are. So if anybody uses like the My Rutgers app right now to track the buses, you probably know that a lot of the times it might be off. It'll say like less than 1 minute and it'll take like 5 minutes to come. So this one, like I said, it's a real-time tracker of the buses. There's like a green dot if the bus is moving, and you can watch the dot move and come to the location that it's picking you up at, which is really cool. As you guys saw, it's not marketed well enough. And second of all, there were some issues with the whole process of downloading it and it actually working for a little bit. But it should be up and running now, so if you guys want to download it, please do, if you use the buses often. And we're also going to be working with the parking people and transportation people to market it and push it out to students and let students know about it. We also talked about in the SOAR orientation for first years, making sure that that's something that students know about, because it's a really useful app to have, and like I said, not a lot of people know about it. We also talked about the deck 1 and deck 2. So Karima, you said you couldn't find parking, right? So I'm sorry, I'm gonna use you as an example.
Yeah.
But you have a lot permit, right?
Yeah.
So did you check deck 1 and deck 1 was full, or like what?
Yeah, so if you come in around like 11, deck 1 is like filled, you know, and there's like people waiting for other cars to come out and stuff. So I just go to deck 2, but you know, you have to park all the way on the 5th floor. So it's.
Do you always find a spot in deck 2, or are there times where you haven't found a spot in deck 1?
I mean, there are times where it's also packed, especially on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Okay.
So those are popular days for students to come to class.
Yeah, so that was the other thing. So that was one of the things that we discussed, because I heard that as well, and I guess a lot of you guys are experiencing that. And that was also another conversation that we had with the chief of finance. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you should talk to them also about the tickets. Like, they're throwing tickets like it's
So
nothing.
that was also another conversation we had. Okay.
Like we don't make money like that to be paying, you know, all these tickets. There should be warning, maybe strike 1, 2, 3.
I like that.
Yeah,
You can't just
so-
give me a $200 ticket.
Yeah.
Like this.
So we had that conversation as well, so I'm getting to that part. But we had both of those conversations with the chief of finance, Amber Randolph, and she wants to schedule. Is anyone interested in meeting about parking and tickets and all of that with Amber? Okay, Ricky, Karima, Sarah, okay, a lot of people. Can you guys keep your hands up? Put your hands up and keep them high.
I think we should all go because this is an issue. And
I don't know.
when we were tabling, I don't know who was with me for SGA, but we had, you know, someone come up to us, and she was really like furious and.
About parking or about the tickets? About parking.
Everything. She might come to this meeting too. I'll text her. She gave me her info. She said if she ever needs to speak on behalf of the student body.
I don't think it's a good idea to bring her into a meeting. She can come and speak with us, and then we can bring it up. Yeah, but no. So basically, what happened? They agree that there's a lot of issues with it, and so when we talked about the whole, you know, deck 1 filling up, deck 2 sometimes even being full, they weren't necessarily like aware about it even being an issue because they said they haven't received many complaints. So we were like, we've received a lot of complaints. So we talked about a possibility of having students transfer their permits and giving like some sort of refund because it seems as though there are too many spaces that may have been sold. But like I said, that's not like something that we said, like that's not like the final thing that's gonna happen, but that was like a suggestion that came up. In regards to tickets, they all agree that it's also a really big issue. So first of all, the whole paperless tickets is an issue because students will accumulate a bunch of tickets, and then after like the 7th ticket and you have like $1,000-something in tickets, you get an email finally. So that's like just absolutely ridiculous, that whole process. So they talked about possibly switching that back to like a paper process of tickets so students are aware that they're first of all receiving tickets. And then if you want to bring to the table talking about warnings, the only issue with that is that when students are misusing the deck and taking spots that other students have paid for, and then students come in looking for a spot and they have paid for it, then we're not getting like an accurate count, like if like we actually have oversold spots or if students are just taking those spots without having a permit. You know what I mean? So then like I understand the whole it's not fair giving like the tickets, like it's a lot of money and whatnot, but also how are we making sure that students who have paid for their passes are getting their spots? And if we're just giving warnings, that's not going to deter students from parking in there without a permit.
So why can't we do like a system where like when you go in and like before there's new like you have to slide your car?
So that could be a system, but look at NJIT's system. NJIT has that and everybody uses the system.
Yeah, they
So
just-
it's like,
Yeah, it's on your
exactly.
business, right?
Huh?
Or like to have something on your card that like is scanned in when you're going in. I know some
That's
other
cute.
universities have that.
So they start, the license plate scanner though, that's what they use to give tickets, right? So they have a car that drives around and has like, scanners on the side, and they'll see if you have, a permit or not. If you don't, then they put tickets on your car. But,
Oh, well, there's two things. I was gonna say, why not just put like, so like Ramapo, if you go there, like you have to have like an actual sticker on your car, so that way like, even if they're not going around scanning, if a student sees that someone doesn't have one, then they can report it themselves, that they're probably not actually parking if they don't actually have a sticker on their car.
yeah.
And then the other thing was that like, I don't know if it's necessarily like the decks that are having a lot of problem, but I know it's like the actual lots, because like if you park by NJIT, like that lot by like 10 o'clock, and like, or yeah, and the fact that they said that they didn't really know it was a problem is absurd, because they have someone that literally puts cones in front of it at like 11 o'clock saying it's full. So,
The new street law as well.
yeah, so the validity of that seems.
Like if you're not there at 8:30.
So they were talking about the decks themselves, not the surface lots, because I didn't even.
But like more people park in the lots than in the deck, yeah. So like that, I know like the one, yeah, Eagles like fills up by like, I parked there, like I was here at like 7:30 this morning, and by like 8 o'clock, every single spot was full. So then like I know that the one by NJIT fills up by like 10 o'clock, and then they put cones there, and there's someone there all the time monitoring, so you can't park on the side. So.
Okay, so we definitely need to have that follow-up meeting. I don't want to take up too much time of our meeting discussing it, just because we all recognize it's an issue and we do have to find some sort of solution with administration. So we'll send, after this meeting, we'll have Najira or someone will send the names to Amber about the business review board and the parking meeting, and we'll try to get on top of that meeting as soon as possible. Yeah.
Can I be on the business review?
Yeah. Okay, so we also talked about increasing security in the lots. So a lot of students said that they don't feel safe walking to the New Street lot at night. Have you parked in the New Street lot, or do you, and is there security at night? No, right?
No, like,
So,
usually by like 5 o'clock, once like the spots are pretty, like people start to leave, that's when like the security.
yeah, so we said that that was an issue. What they said is that there is security, and that they talked to RUPD, and that they said that they kind of like have a route that they go through, but they don't want it to be like something, like they don't want people to know that they're there, I guess, which, yeah, no. So we talked about that, and we said that, but like there's that idea of students feeling safe, right? Like other people might know that you're there and might be able to like, their idea is that like people will plan around the times that the security is present, right? But in order for students to feel safe going to the lots, in order for students to feel safe going back to their cars and whatnot, we did talk about the security being present and making sure that they're there during times like after 6 to 9. So starting from like 8:30 to like 10ish maybe, or during those like peak times where it's like really dark out and it's a dimly lit lot as well. So there's just, it's a lot of like safety issues with that lot. Yeah.
I would even like extend it to campus, because after like 6 to 9, like a lot of classes leave after 9 too. And when you walk by the San Luis Plaza, there's no one there, and then all of a sudden there's someone there, and like it's either you or everyone. Like it's so unsafe because you don't know what's gonna happen. And I've never seen an RUPD officer like anyone like get San Luis Plaza.
Even by Riverfront Stadium, like there's nobody there.
By what?
Riverfront Stadium, like past the business school.
Okay, so that's another thing. So we also have met with RUPD regarding certain things, but I didn't know that that was an issue that you guys thought was important. So you said those, did you write them in the spot? Because we can bring them up to RUPD as well and say that students feel unsafe in those areas, and we can increase security during, and you're all saying after like 6 to 9 periods?
Yeah, because like it's really dark, and now that it's getting darker a lot earlier. So, and a lot of students are not on campus after like 9 or even half 6 to 9. So it's very like we feel isolated.
Okay. Sounds good. Is anyone interested in being in on a meeting with RUPD?
Yeah.
Same exact. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Next week?
Yeah.
I know Lieutenant Hendricks said that she wanted to have like a sit-down meeting with members and whatnot to discuss the other areas that we had, and then also if they had some more issues to discuss.
I think that's a separate
But this is
I'm not gonna say this is people stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, unless.
Okay, so then moving on, sorry it's taking a while, there was a lot that was discussed in this meeting, so I'm just trying to summarize as much as I can. So if you were in the Student Governing Association last year, there was a conversation around the one staff being in Conklin and Boyden, the first floors of Conklin and Boyden. That process has been kind of slowed down. They're looking at different spaces possibly, and where they can maximize that location. So they're not sure where it's gonna go. So there's kind of like a pause on that process. Another thing is declaration of majors. So we talked about kind of the process and how it's really difficult for students to declare a major. I don't know if anybody has gone through the process, but it's a grueling process. For me, it took like a whole week because I was trying to set up the time to meet with the advisor, and then my actual biology advisor, and then going back and getting signatures, and it's just a lot. So they talked about launching a program in which it's going to launch in the business school first, and they're going to see how it goes, just because the School of Arts and Sciences is a lot bigger. It's a lot more difficult to get all the majors involved and whatnot. So it's going to launch in the business school, declaring majors online. So having it be an online process, which is long overdue, we all know that, because having that paper and just walking back and forth to all these different offices is just a lot. So that is something that is going to be launched hopefully soon. I think possibly by next year. I'm not 100% sure exactly when, but I think they said something around that. Also, the tuition increase. So we talked about the tuition increase. It increased 2.8%, and the reasoning behind the tuition increase was because of increased wages for professors. So that was the reasoning that was given to us, as well as to through New Brunswick and on a larger scale, that it's because that professors are being paid more with the bargaining and everything that was going on in the past year. So we asked if the tuition would increase by the same amount moving forward, and basically there's no way of knowing whether or not it will. So we didn't really get an answer on that. The BDS referendum that we passed, we also brought that up. So we talked about doing stuff on a smaller scale. So that's another meeting with Chief Finance and Randolph. Is anyone interested in being in on that? Can you guys keep your hands up? And then we'll also get SJP in on that. Yeah, I think that is just about everything. I think that's everything. Does I miss anything?
Nothing comes to mind.
Okay. I think that's just about everything. So like I said, it was a really long meeting. We discussed a lot of different things. And those are kind of the outcomes of the conversations that we've had. So if you have any additional questions, like I said, we have those follow-up meetings that we're going to be doing with everybody who said that they're interested. If you didn't say you were interested and are interested in being in something, you can just text me or put it in the group chat. Try to do it by then, this afternoon, because we're going to send those names over by tonight. That should be it. Oh, another executive board update. We went on the retreat this weekend. It was super cool. Really good time. Got to connect with a lot of people. We had a few SGA people. Oh, I wish I sent the picture. We could put the picture up. We took an SGA picture. It was cute. Sarah did some zip lining in her SGA sweatshirt. But yeah, it was a nice time. We connected with a lot of different student leaders. And then, not to brag, but like our AOC project was the one that was picked.
Ours was good too. Yeah, ours was so good. I don't know why it wasn't good.
So the Agents of Change project, throughout the entire weekend, we basically came up with an idea that we wanted to implement that went along with the Agents of Change theme of learning, leading, and and serve. So our idea, I guess, that was picked is an express room, and it's basically a room for kind of expressing yourself and releasing like any type of stress or mental health kind of issues that you're facing. It's supposed to be like a relaxing room with books, and we also set a massage chair if that's possible to get, and just kind of an area to de-stress and relieve any sort of anxiety or depression it is, or whatever it is that you're facing. And we're partnering with different offices from, the Office of the Counseling Services Office, the CBA, and all of these different offices. And we wanted SGA obviously to be involved in it. So there's the health committee. Who's the chair of the health committee? Mac is the chair of the health committee. So I definitely wanted to get them involved in that because we did talk about having mental health under that. So yeah, I think that's it from my updates.
So fall elections, pretty behind. I'm not sure what the committee.
The committee's formed.
Yeah, so there's.
It's just a matter of them finalizing the packets and then sending out the email. So hopefully the email, should have went out like yesterday, but I don't know where Nats is the chair. Okay. The email will go out this week, but Nats is the one who's chairing it, so I'll connect with her as well. But like I said, the only thing that's left right now is them finalizing the packet and sending out the email.
Okay. And we'll move on to Senate updates, either about your academic school initiatives or your committees. So start with Ricky and go around.
Hi everyone. So last week at the fair, the Healthy Fair, there was a tabling for the pharmacy. So I spoke with the guy, and he was very, very passionate about the pharmacy and really, really upset with the whole thing that's going on around with Brunswick and stuff like that, and the risk of it happening here. So he really wanted to basically he's been talking with the department for the last 3 years trying to market the pharmacy better. And the department kept saying that, okay, we got you, but never happened, I guess you could say. So he's very happy that someone from the SGA came and that the SGA is actively trying to, get them promoted and hopefully, raise awareness about his pharmacy. So he was planning to speak today, but I guess there were some scheduling issues. So he's definitely planning to, in the next few weeks, hopefully, to come and speak about the pharmacy and, develop some plans and action items to see what we can do to help. I think that is it. Oh, also, we see that there's a need for in the communications area of the SGA. We feel like there's a need for expanding that, and for just 2 members in the full SGA to do that. In order to create quality content, I guess you can say, 2 is not enough. So we're not asking to extend the Senate size for that portion, but what the media pairs are planning to do is we want to create a media committee, which is not necessarily inside the SGA, but perhaps reaching out to the students. So with that, not only does it improve our media content in regards to the SGA, but also we're overlapping with the student community, our constituents, and getting them involved in SGA, whereas they serve in the SGA, or they help us, with media content and stuff. And I don't know if Sarah, you want to speak about the emails that also just went out, the Google Forms, in regards to creating these meetings, because basically the goal is to like get people involved in the SGA whichever way they can, and I guess.
Yeah, so going off of what Rick is saying, so last week after the Senate caucus meeting, we decided to make a form and send it out to the entire student body because like the committees are open to everyone, to be on it, not just SGA senators. And it's kind of like counterproductive to have SGA senators doing their constitutional duties on top of like any committee that they want to be on, especially because a lot of us are interested in more than one committee. So we sent out a form with the committees that we have, and if students are interested in any other committee, they are more than welcome to create it and chair it. And by responding and filling out the form, we incentivize it by giving them $8 off their Starbucks purchase. So thank you so much, Ryan, for that. But we're a little behind on making the card, so I don't know how we're going to figure that out. And we did have, I think so far, 4 or 5 people, which is not bad. You know, hopefully we'll get more as we go on. That's one update. Another update on the SASN side. So there's been a problem going on with a psychology class that the clickers are not working, and like IT tried to help like fix the problem a few times, but it didn't work out. And so somehow the Chancellor's office got involved with it, and they were saying, like, you know, SGA is the person that you're going to go to. I don't know, like, what the Chancellor can do that we can, per se, but so now I'm talking with Dean Pinto and Dean Bergen on perhaps either changing a class, going to another class. The problem with that was that there's no class, like you said, Tuesdays and Thursdays are the biggest days for students to be on campus, and that class just happens to be on an 11:30 Tuesday class. So we're just trying to find another way, if anything, that they can go to. So far there's been nothing. And if that doesn't work, then there was an option that students are going to be reimbursed for their clickers, because like the clicker systems, how they get their attendance and quizzes in. So it's just at a disadvantage, like the students are at a disadvantage now because it's the 6th week of school and they don't have any quizzes or any attendance that's been counted. So that's that. Another one is me and Carolyn are meeting with Ray this week to talk about like when we want our open forum to be for the School of Arts and Sciences, and just our goals and what we want done.
Wait, who reached out to you in regards to Who reached out to you in regards to
The student reached out. Yeah, so a student, my friend, she's in that class, and her like professor was frustrated, so she told her, because you know SGA is for the students, so told her to represent her class as a student because she was frustrated that she went to her administrator and couldn't do anything. They couldn't change it. So they just told her like basically like you're gonna have to change the way you teach and not use clickers because they can't find room for her. So then she reached out to me since she knows an SGA, and then I reached out to Sarah because it was under her school.
Yeah, the professor reached out to you?
No, the student. But we met up with the professor last Thursday, and we talked to her. And they told her that the Chancellor's office said that by the end of the week, last week, so the end of Friday, if no one came over or if the clickers don't work.
Yeah, and so then they said reach out to SGA, and if they said that if it doesn't work out by Friday, then we'll reimburse the students. So I sent them out an email with the professor, and I saw him in back. So once I get that, I'm gonna email Dean Pinto and Dean Bergen to see what to do as far as like the School of Arts and Sciences about that, and maybe reach out to CLJ because I know they have big rooms to hopefully try and change the classroom. So yeah, so that's sorry. So that's one update. Another update is Ricky and I started drafting up a resolution in support of the LGBTQ+ community. Since I'm not sure if everyone's aware, October 8th will be the first like big 3 cases that are going to be heard by the Supreme Court about the legality of firing someone based on their sexual identity and sexual orientation. And as the SGA, we decided that it's important to help support a community that's been, you know, historically underrepresented and not given a platform to voice their concerns and their issues. So, do you want to take that?
Yeah, so like basically, we started drafting it up, but we also felt that it would be appropriate if the authors of the resolution were from included like inclusive language. So we felt that we reached out to the Intercultural Resource Center and to RU Pride to help us out with the writing of this resolution. We hope to be working on this. We were trying to aim for today, but honestly, like after meeting with the director of the Intercultural Resource Center, we felt the need that it would be best if we create this language with quality. So we're hoping to work on it this week and possibly next week, and hopefully by the end of the month, this would be a resolution that we would like to be voted on. So if anyone else is interested in co-sponsoring the resolution, reach out to Sarah or I, and we'll be glad to partner and be part of these meetings too.
Sorry, one more thing. Can you guys also add updates about your committees, because you met in your committee?
Right.
So if you have any updates or anything, please provide them.
Yeah. So our first committee went pretty well. It was great. I thought we actually created a new committee on top of that. We voted on it last week, and we created the environmental committee. There were students, there were senators here that felt the need that it needed to be said, and we're glad that it was created. It was unanimously passed. I was part of the SOS committee. Kevin and I, and with Harrison, we basically just went through like last year's SOS process and like the spreadsheet, and we walked through how everything was tiered, what needs to get changed, and updated for this coming year, so that it is consistent with the events and the months and stuff like that for this semester when we tier them at the end of the semester. Sarah, you're VPVA,
Yes.
chair of VPVA
Yes.
for the sexual assault.
Yes, so we had sent an invitation to BPVA to have someone be on the committee to be a liaison between us. Because last semester it was very poor communication, and that's something that we're trying to really bridge a gap on. So Taylor and Danielle came in, and I tried to pull the email, but so they sent us a list of events that they have that we are planning on sponsoring, and this Wednesday we're running a campus circle for domestic abuse awareness month, violence awareness month, and we suggested that we should have like SGA rep wear purple. So I know it's an issue that people don't have a lot of purple, so they recommended like us getting the size of everyone in SGA so they can get us shirts so we can all wear on Wednesday. And if anyone's interested in tabling, like please feel free to do so. It's going to be in a free period. And that's what they think. Yeah, so they're doing that this Wednesday, and then they have a workshop that's actually not today. And then they have a donation drop, which also we're co-sponsoring for Shawnee Barack Women's Resource Center for domestic violence survivors, and that's going to be from the 7th to the 25th. It's also open to anyone that wants to help us out and help BPVA out. And another one we're doing is actually that's pretty much it. But if they're doing a like a football game with everyone on campus. And they said if we're interested, we can make a team of our own and go and play as SGA. So I don't know if that's something that anyone's interested in. I personally can't make it. A lot of my community members can't make it, so that's why we can't. But and that was a problem with co-sponsoring their events. It's a lot of it is during free period, but we said we suggested monetary contributions and either promotion. Another thing that we're doing is we're trying to have a requirement for everyone on the committee to be trained by BPPA for the weekly training. It's kind of ironic to have people on sexual assault prevention committee when we're not trained to know how to prevent it. We're trying to stretch that out to SGA, so if anyone's interested, let me know when, because we'd like to all go and be trained in one day, because it's a 3-hour training, so if anyone's trained Friday or Saturday, I suggested that. And another thing that we're planning on doing is an information session. We realize that there's a lot of people that do not know what BPVA is, violence prevention and victim assistance.
And for the first step for the semester would be to just like get everyone on the same page of what UBVA stands for and what the resources that they offer. So we're trying to work with the Office of Student Life and see the availability of people when we can do that with them. So yeah.
Anything from Rosa?
Yeah, so we actually met, we met with the undergrad dean, but we've been having a hard time trying to meet with that actual dean, since she's only a temporary, dean for the time being, but like, we made a date to meet someone this week, it's hard for me to consider, but regardless, there are a few things that we're doing, so one of the things that's a big issue with students, that students have with the social justice is that they don't have any clothing or anything that you can like, any arts and sciences, like the law schools, whatever, they have like all of their stuff, but a lot of criminal justice students, even like undergraduate and like the PhD program, have always complained that that's a problem, like they used to sell it, so we're trying to create like a poll. So if we get enough people to fill out a form that the dean said that we could actually bring it up to the actual community school, yeah, and they would go forward with that. So that's something that we're trying to accomplish this semester. Additionally, we did reach out to since we're such a small school, a lot of the PhD students and like the SGA PhD students and like the GSGA, like they've always wanted to kind of bridge a connection between the undergrad, so we're working with them to try to do some kind of mixer or event where like we can all be on the same page since we're such a small school. And then the last thing that we're trying to focus on was a lot of criminal justice. Okay, so I don't know if you guys know this, but criminal justice classes aren't actually held in the school, maybe like one or two. So we're trying to see if we can get them to hold some freshman classes there so they can become familiar with the building, because we have a problem of not a lot of students ever using the building, even though we have a library there, they have the office, like academic, they have a lot of different resources there, but just people that aren't in the school but don't actually use the school. So we're trying to see if they can do some kind of like orientation or hold like some freshman classes there so it familiarizes students with the building from the beginning of their academic career.
So I already talked about but yeah, we're meeting Thursday with Dean Correa, and we met with Chancellor last Monday. But one more thing we wanted to talk about was university college students. So something that was brought up was, well, maybe they just like fall in some of the comments, and it would be hard for them to sometimes once a month. So I mean, we weren't sure if there was a possibility to phone in once a month, or maybe like going for every meeting, so they're coming just once a month. Or how would that work?
Like this meeting?
Yeah, or just like every meeting that we have, which is going instead of coming once a month. I think it would be hard for them, what if they work during the day, how would they come? University college.
University college. Phone and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we don't have any university college senators at all, so having any would be better than having none. But yeah, we can talk about that.
Okay, because she wanted to her commitment and what time she can do.
Yeah.
Going,
I mean, we want someone who's going to be able to like be present,
right?
Like that would be better. But if we can't get that, then obviously anything is better.
And I'm also on the health committee, so we're talking about the pharmacy, having health, and a lot of people don't know that exists, and being involved in about the doctor's office, to go and like physical and gynecological examinations. And since it's flu season right now, so it's closed with those vaccinations. And there's also the 24-hour nurse line that we just do that. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we want to like get people to know about that. And this is why I run to resources would be good. That's what I said.
Okay.
But no,
Yeah.
Anything else?
So apparently I'm the chair of the new committee, the environmental committee. We came to, yeah, so it was like a very last minute decision. I was initially part of the health committee, so we were talking about just making this like a subcommittee. But then it came to our attention that, that it was like really targeting like very relevant issues that are going on in the school. So we're also talking to the dining committee right now. We only have like a couple of projects that we're still working on, which is why I'm not going to give you like exactly an update because we're still working on them. But we have so far 3 people that are part. No, is it 3 of us?
Yeah.
Yes, right? So it's just 3 of us so far. We're gonna come up with some projects and then we're gonna let you guys know the projects that we have so that you can see if you wanna join us or not. So that's it for now.
So my committee and Senator report are basically the same. So last week I mentioned meeting with Brian, and we talked about various initiatives that we can do like on behalf of the dining committee as well as she's not with the environmental committee. Yeah, environmental committee as well. So like Brian mentioned that Stone's Fee and like Marion in general is hugely utilized in terms of like partnerships. So like one thing that I was talking about with Sarah as well is tabling for SGA. So like even though that there are some members of SGA for years, I was hoping to potentially do something during Wednesday nights from the late night for SGA. During last meeting, I was talking with Ricky a bit about SOIS points and like brushing up on that, and I'm doing research in general to continue my partnership with Sora and both Brian's, and hopefully moving forward, we'll have like event plans in collaboration with SGA and NJPIRG and everything for homelessness and hunger awareness week.
As Ricky mentioned, he and I were discussing about the SOIS committee and the previous policies that we had done and what we should do looking forward. As far as student affairs, I have no updates, so that's all I got.
We're having our open forum this Wednesday, free period at the business school.
So I just want to clarify, you guys said that we can't give them SOS points. We need to. We really do.
Okay, so
we haven't had an open forum in 3 years at business school, so I think it's, just a better way to bring people in, because I don't want the turnout to be low, neither does the dean, so.
And also for the open forum on the 28th, I heard that anyone from the business school will be coming, so the business school is isolated, so this is our way of bringing everyone.
And if you do, want to provide another incentive, I feel like the more incentives, the better. Free Starbucks, gift cards or anything, coffee cards. Yeah.
Ricky, do you want to mention kind of your?
Yeah. So here's like what we spoke on a little bit with Dean and also with Sarah. With Sarah, with Sabrina yesterday. That the thing. So SOS points incentives are completely important. That we have to get addressed out here right now. Incentives are important. How we go about incentives or what types of incentives, that's where we have to, define it. And so with SOIS points, why we can offer SOIS points for the open forum, but why it might be questionable to offer it for RBS, it's because the type of population it caters to. So with open forum, this affects every student on campus. So we want students to come to open forum. So a form of incentive that can work is SOIS points, because every student that is a part of an organization goes to all schools, and so they would benefit from going to an open forum. When we offer SOIS points as an incentive for RBS, for an RBS school, for instance, this example, not to single y'all out, but that's the example that we're bringing up. This would only benefit RBS organizations. There's really, or mostly, it would mostly affect RBS organizations because, their MMS, alpha, all that stuff, they're gonna obviously see that the need to go to the open forum. But what about the other organizations that are school specific? I guess, like for example, again, not to single out, but the Criminal Justice Club, the Pre-Med, Pre-Law Society, they don't see this type of benefit anywhere because it's not catered to them. And you can say, well, what if we just offer it to every school then? Every school can offer SOS points, but not every school has the same needs or the same availability of having their administrators or their deans to sit down together and have a meeting or an open forum. So some schools may not plan to have one this semester, and so like that whole issue of inequity and distribution of SOS points has to be defined. You can't just put it on anything for incentives. We have to offer incentives, but we have Senate money. We can do, there's many different ways of providing incentives, but SOS points is one thing that we have to be cautious about.
Okay, I totally understand where you're coming from, but realistically speaking, there will be like one chance of from someone from the business school coming to the open forum on the 28th over someone from the arts and science or the criminal justice coming to the open forum on the 28th. So nobody from the business school is going to come because like there's no connection between the business school and the main campus.
The environment in that school is different than the environment here. Even the walk, when you walk in the building, it feels different, you know?
Right.
That's why it's very important for us to have an incentive. And you guys said yes last week. You can't tell me 2 days before, oh, we're not going to do this anymore. Because I already started telling people in my classes, making announcements. I already talked to the deans over there about it.
To be fair, no one has voted yes. The only person that's given the yes to you was, I'm sorry to single you out, but Sabrina was the only one that told me yes. And as far as I know, we are a Senate, and if we're gonna like make decisions like that, we can't just depend on one voice. We have to vote it as a group, as a collective.
And that's fine, and we can vote on it now. I just don't see the issue. You were saying how the other schools don't have a chance to meet with to do this. Why not? You can literally just figure out how to have an open forum. Like, we haven't had one in so many years. I'm just trying to do it once, get it right, because this open forum is gonna dictate how me and her and Dean Lay and all of them are gonna handle our issues, you know? Because doing surveys and talking to people one-on-one can only take us so far.
But the thing is, like with providing SYS points for a student in RBS that's not part of the organization, how does that incentivize them to go?
We're not. This is specifically for people that are in RBS orgs. This is just to bring people in.
Also, this is not. So then why is it called an open forum?
Yeah.
Well, no. Other
my question is, if it's only for people in RBS orgs, right? Then you're singling out RBS orgs and just incentivizing them, and that's even more inequity in terms of the tiering system in general.
So, Karima, are you saying that you only want RBS orgs present? Are you saying you want RBS
I want everybody to go. I want all the RBS students to go. I'm just giving an incentives to the orgs
because they'll bring more people in.
Because that'll bring in more
heads, basically. Members, everyone.
And I definitely understand that, right? Like, because organizations have a very large pull on campus, and especially if they are more isolated, I see your point about the importance of attracting these orgs to your event, right? But at the same time, like, if you're offering SOIS points, it's not the same between all these different schools because, like you said, they each have a different culture, and they each have, like, different environments, right? The distribution of clubs is not the same for RBS and the College of Arts and Sciences or the criminal justice, like, school, you know?
7 in 10 students in Rutgers Business School are in some kind of club. We have so many orgs. So this is necessary. I don't understand why you guys are saying, oh, we're singling out the people that aren't in clubs.
Because so like going back to your first point about like other schools, like right now SPA does not have a senator. And the way that like I've been facing with my the School of Arts and Sciences is we had to push it back to the spring semester because it takes a semester to plan it to get everything right with all of like the deans and anyone from the academic service that we want on it. And so like for example, let's say we have SPA and now they can do it this semester, and then what if the process goes in again? And then not every school is gonna have an open forum, so at the end of the day, the people that you're attracting, the people that are only benefiting are the students in business orgs, not even the students in general that are not part of the student organizations, because a lot of them are not aware of what SOIS points are, and then why are you only incentivizing the organizations and the people that are involved, and not the students that don't have a chance to be involved? So, oh, I'm out of breath, I'm sorry. But, so why not incentivize everyone that goes in?
So Dean Williams made a really good point, right? So what about incentivizing like a certain amount of money for organizations that have the most attendees? That's something that you can do because you have a budget and you use your budget in whichever way you think is necessary. So if you have, for example, the top 3 orgs that come in, like the first place will get $100, second place like $50, third place, whatever. However much you decide you want to give to these orgs. But that could be another way of incentivizing it that isn't, because that's your money, you're free to use it however you want. Incentivizing it through that, incentivizing it through partnering with Brian, seeing if we could do the $1 off coffee, incentivizing it by bringing cookies or whatever it might be, right? Because you guys are in the business school, you can bring whatever.
I think they like that better. I think the orgs would like that better.
Exactly, if you're saying money, because that's instant, that's something you'll get this semester. We'll transfer it to your funds as soon as you guys, that's just another way to do it instead of saying SOIS points, because they make a fair point. You can't incentivize with SOIS points if it's only for business school people, because then other organizations like Pre-Law Society, CJ, all of those don't have that opportunity to get those SOIS points. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or even if you
But
say they have the
better,
opportunity
like I'm
to
telling you,
attend,
I like that
there's
orgs
no
are
point
gonna,
in
yeah,
attending
it's a really
if
good,
it's
Dean
all
Williams is like, I'm not
We
saying
just,
it.
so,
But
are you on board with that idea
Yes.
instead?
Are you?
Can we
for
decide
it?
on an amount now?
Are you?
I mean, they don't need to, so you can do whatever amount
I mean,
you
the
guys want to
form's
do.
on Wednesday, and I feel like my hands are tied, and I'm really late to my class right now, so I don't know, I'm disappointed.
It's the same thing, Karima. You're incentivizing, people want money more than they're gonna want SOIS points for next semester. It's instant.
Okay,
you're gonna
but
get
like,
this
I
semester.
don't have time to figure this out right now, like, the form's on Wednesday morning.
Okay,
Wednesday
we'll send out an email, we'll figure, so the
I already
you guys
wrote
want
out
to
an
adjourn the
email.
meeting? Huh? So the meeting's over, you guys can adjourn.
Motion
it.
adjourned.
So,
Did you want?
no, I was just wondering, so like, are we offering SOIS points being offered or not?
They're not.
No.
No, I was.